Adam, hi, how are you?
Very well, very well. How you doing?
Very good. Nice to speak with you today.
And you?
Um, what I really, I got a chance to see 5 episodes of your
Wow,
show to
lovely.
watch, and I really, really enjoyed it. Got a lot of interesting things happening. You're a dwarf. Is that right? You're a dwarf that
Yeah,
that didn't realize that he was taller than everybody else.
yeah, exactly. I'm a bit like Buddy the Elf in Elf.
How do you go about what I like is in the first episode in particular, you really play this character, Constable Carrot, really interestingly. How do you go about
Mm.
doing it? How do you sort of what do you lean into when you're playing it?
So it all really started by reading the scripts when I was auditioning for it and then getting the part. And I think a big part of the character is that he's this physical presence. He's a young man who's naive and everything, but he's this big sort of physical presence. So they wanted to bulk me up for the role because I'm a very skinny sort of English guy. So they sent me to a personal trainer, had a meal plan for 5 weeks in pre-production before we headed out, just to sort of get me a bit more heavy, a bit heavier, sorry, and a bit more bulky. And then I get out there and I get to put on the costume, and you sort of step into the role. Then you sort of really feel you carry yourself in a different way, really. And I think because the audience sees the world through Carrot's eyes, as he sees it entering into this crazy baffling world, like what the hell is going on? Crime is basically legal to an extent. It's quoted, and if you get a receipt, it's legal, and you're part of a guild, and all these sort of crazy things he can't understand. He thought he was going to be fighting crime and doing all the good things, but he sort of doesn't find that. He's a bit like a bull in a china shop when he first arrives, or maybe like a puppy in a china shop, perhaps, because he's a bit innocent and naive. But he's strong-willed, and he has a way of thinking and a way of doing things. So he tries to come in and change things. So yeah.
You've talked about how much you enjoy the experience filming in the sets. It was Cape
Mm.
Town, South Africa, correct?
It was, yeah. We were in Cape Town for nearly 7 months.
What was the experience like of filming with, as you had said, such incredible looking sets?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I've not done much work before I started on this job. I'd only been out of drama school a year, so I'd not been on that many sets. But it was exceptional, and I can tell it was exceptional. Simon Rogers, the set designer, had created this vast world, and I know Simon Allen has been saying, fantasy with fingerprints. Everywhere you look, there was the world. You were in Ankh-Morpork, our city, Discworld. There was, I've said it before, 30-foot sets with 360-degree views. Anywhere you look, as the character, you were in this world. You didn't have to look far to be convinced that you were in the scene and in this watch house or in the unseen university. So it was beautifully detailed.
And you have an incredible team working, and your team, the Watch, as
Mm,
well too.
yeah.
You're playing off of actors that are bringing different skill sets. For example, with Richard, what do you enjoy about working with him?
So Richard is crazy in a great way. He's mad. I love him. He's such a talented guy as well. He brings such a depth to the role, and he's always up for talking about character. He's always talking about what Vimes is doing, what Vimes is thinking, and what your relationship to Vimes is in this scene, or where you're going on your journey of the episodes. And I think there's a really interesting relationship between me and Richard and Carrot and Vimes in the first 2 episodes. It's a very tumultuous relationship. We're butting heads a lot. There's a lot of mistrust and anger, I guess, between the two of us. We can't understand one another, I think. And me and Richard spoke about this. Richard sort of said he felt Vimes saw in Carrot what he could have been at the beginning of our story, but he never became. So I think he's sort of jealous of who Carrot is and what he believes in. Which in turn, once they start to get a dialogue with one another over the first 2 episodes and start to understand where they're both coming from, and they can then go on a journey together of mutual respect, really.
Mm. And you're playing police constable, like in Pennyworth. I believe you're in the Pennyworth pilot, also playing a junior detective.
Yes, that was my first role out of drama school, and I had one scene in it, so it's quite it's quite small but quite funny. Um, Yeah, that was a very long time ago now. It's so long ago. But yeah, another police officer. I play soldiers and police officers, it appears.
Yeah, and you were in 1917 as well. I was going to say
I
I just
was.
watched again to catch you, and
Oh,
with
did
your
you?
well with your physical presence, you're very noticeable in that movie as
Yeah,
well.
I'm a bit taller than my scene partner, Garen. A bit taller. So when I come around that corner, you really see me.
Right on.
But yeah, that was an amazing project to be a part of. It was an honor, really. You know, I've loved Sam Mendes' work for all my life. I saw Road to Perdition when I was a kid for the first time. That was the first Mendes movie I saw, and yeah, to then be a part of one of his projects. And I've said this before as well. I'm obsessed with cinematography and Roger Deakins. So to
Hmm.
be on a movie that was shot by him and Dennis Gassner, the production designer, oh, it was just a dream. I had such a small part, but it was a dream to be part of that process.
Yeah, I was going to say because one of the things that you had said when you were selected as one of the 20 actors to watch for 2021 is you had talked about your love of the movie Rust and Bone, which is also
Yes,
an incredible film. What do you like about that pure cinema experience?
from Rust and Bone.
And in general,
And in general, for me, it's just the older I've got, the more I've sort of been exposed, because my family aren't, film and TV buffs or theatre buffs or anything, they're not part of the industry in any way. So I never had, the introduction to The Godfather or whatever, the great movies until I was maybe 18 when I went to drama school. And, I've slowly become obsessed with every part of the movies and TV. Are just like, as I say, production design. I'm obsessed with how they create things and make this world so believable. On 1917, there was a tree that looked so real. Me and Garen went up to it and tapped on it, and it was fake. And it's silly stuff like that. I'm just obsessed with it, and the way things are lit in movies and shot, the way performances are shot, like in Rust and Bone. That's a sort of a pretty low budget indie French Belgian film, and yet they are delivering these immaculate, such detailed performances, and the cinematography only helps that. But I can't even explain the visceral experience of that movie. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Your team, The Watch, you're like the detectives, the police force. But as you said, it's a lawless society, or crime is
Yeah.
legal. So, you go about in the show, there's sort of creative ways of prosecuting, of arresting people. But, how do you do that in a lawless society? How do you fight the criminals in
I
such a
know.
way?
Exactly. That's the thing. We're at the beginning of our story in The Watch, we're pretty powerless, in that moment of time. So, as I've said, that there's guilds like the Assassin's Guild, the Thieves Guild, the Alchemist Guild for drugs. And as long as you're a part of these guilds, you can commit these crimes. As long as you have a receipt and you're paid for your work, then it's all legal. So I think when I arrive into the story, I sort of see this crazy world and can't understand it. So I managed to find loopholes within the system, to start, I guess, igniting the Watch's true purpose and going back to what they should be doing, which isn't easy when everyone's quite sedentary and just sitting around and happy with the way things are, I guess. So there's a lot of butting heads and tumultuous relationships, but at the end of the day, we're all looking for the same goal. We just have to adapt to one another, and I think it's about becoming a sense of a family, really, a unit that all come together to achieve their same goal. So, and then the story goes on to this crazy adventure.
Yeah, and your entrance into the show. I mean, as as a smaller, a larger person thinking that he was a smaller person, it's played for laughs at the beginning as well too,
Yeah.
and you get the contrast in height, and you're kind of like the newbie. You're the new person on the team. So, what did it feel like to to come together at first, to join, to be a part of that team?
Yeah, I think from a character perspective, it was kind of, I think he's just generally baffled when he enters into this story. And there's another dwarf, but their sect of dwarves can be any height. So he's like, oh, there's other dwarves, okay. And then there's a stone giant, and he's like, okay, that's a troll. There's a stone troll. I've never seen a stone troll before. There's assassins on the streets. There's wizards. There's werewolves. Aang was a werewolf. It's just this. He's just bombarded with all this information, and I think he's sort of caught off guard, really, because he is very naive when he enters into this world, and yeah, he has to adapt very quickly, but he struggles with that because everyone seems to be against him, but actually everyone is with him. I think he finds as the story goes on, he realizes that everyone is there to help really, and can be helped. You just have to accept one another.
Hmm. And as I got into episode 5 as well too, you have a talking sword, which is voiced by Matt Berry from What We Do in the
It's,
Shadows. And boy, he
it's
plays that. I don't know. How does that play when you're filming it? Do you get a chance to hear him as well too? Does it come afterwards?
No, so I'm sure I'm allowed to say this, but Matt wasn't cast
Hmm.
when we were filming those scenes. So we had someone just reading in the lines off camera, and we were just staring at this inanimate object, talking to it, and doing a scene with a sword. And it was weird. This show is weird, but I mean that was pretty weird. Just talking to a bit of a sword and just trying to do a scene with it, and then someone off camera sort of going, oh, yeah, and you're having to deliver lines to it and interrogate a sword. I mean, how do you intimidate a sword that is just an animal? But yeah, so this show is crazy, but that is one of the more crazy things about it, I think.
What's it like filming a show like this in which, you're world building and there you are on set and, you probably see part of the magic happening, but then
Mm.
afterwards where it grows, where it builds, where, there's certain elements that maybe couldn't be done at the time. What is it like to experience something like this?
Yeah, I think it's really cool because, as I say, most of it was there for us, which was so great. The only real changes were, magic. You can't physically summon magic, so we couldn't see that, and we couldn't see the extension of the world into the entire city. So there was blue screens for those sort of things, but everything else was there for us. And the level of detail was vast. Even on the props on the tables, I've got to help the cable doesn't fall out. But I've got this logbook from the desk, and it's literally got everything inside. It's written in all the languages that they've created for Ankh-Morpork. It's unbelievable, the detail that they put in. It was all there for us. Anywhere you look, the prop guys, Jacques was in charge of creating all these amazing things. So the world building was vast, and for any sort of diehard fans out there who might be enjoying the show or watching it, if you go back and rewatch, there are tiny little hidden Easter eggs dotted around the set. So yeah.
I love that you have a prop as well too. I was very much considering bringing a carrot as well and just sort of
I've
gnawing
got
on
one
it.
of those somewhere. Yeah, I've got loads of props I stole, but don't tell anyone.
No, not at all, not at all. So everybody is starting to come to this show to watch The Watch. What kind of shows do you like? You've talked about pure cinema, but
Mm.
what kind of shows interest you? What have you been watching?
I think I'm about to start watching WandaVision tonight. I'm very new to the whole Marvel cinematic universe, and my flatmate has been giving me a baptism in fire by all the movies and everything. And I'm actually really excited to see WandaVision, and that's just come out today, I think. So I think we're going to watch it tonight. I think there's 2 episodes as well. So I'm really excited to see that because I'm just intrigued by the whole world now. I'm very excited by it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to start at the moment. But other than that, I'm watching The Office. I've never seen The Office, the US Office, and
Hmm.
it's on Netflix in the UK now. So I'm like trying to binge that because it's a phenomenon. It's brilliant. I love it.
Were you familiar with the British Office before that?
No, so I don't know why. I think maybe I was too young at the time. I think I was maybe kept away from that by my parents. So no, I've never seen the British Office, which will probably lose me my British citizenship once I say that. But yeah.
Right on. So, okay, you have been cast in an upcoming role, which has not been announced yet. You're in production right now. I
Mm.
can't ask you what it is, but let's say maybe a bit of a hint for it, or a genre you like working in, or something. How about this? What are you excited to do on screen that you've never had a chance to do before and may have a chance to do upcoming?
Well, in this certain project I'm working on at the moment, I'm doing all of the above that you've just said. I never thought I'd do it. I never thought I'd be in a project like it, and it's a completely new skill that I'm having to learn as I go. And I'm on screen with A-listers, and I'm having to do a scene dressed in a certain way with certain things that I'm not used to having to deal with on screen. Um, and I don't look like myself. So yes, it's a challenge, but it's great. It's great fun, and I'm having the best time. And we're about to pick up shooting again next week, which is amazing. We were filming before Christmas, and now we're going to continue filming for the next sort of 3 months, doing some big set pieces. So it's really exciting. I'm really excited.
Won an award for best musical performance, I believe. Best musical.
Yes,
Is that a
yes.
skill that we're going to get to see on screen from you one day?
I don't know about that. Yeah, I did. It baffled me. It was my first professional play out of drama school. I sort of managed to get out of most of the dance numbers and the songs, though I did have 3 of my own songs that I had to sing. But it was an amazing piece of theatre. It was, completely unbiased. It was beautiful. It was this really heart-wrenching story about family, about love, about history, and it was all set where I'm from in the UK, in the north of England. But yeah, I don't know whether I'll ever branch out into doing musicals on screen, but we'll see.
Right? If the calling is there, right? If it's
exactly
pure cinema musical, perhaps. We'll see.
Maybe then.
That would be amazing. Listen, it was such an awesome time talking with you. I'm such a fan of yours, of the show.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you.
Where you go from here, and it was really wonderful getting a chance to speak with you. So thank you.
Good to speak to you too. I hope the cat's okay.
Yeah, she's started to make more appearances. She never did, and now sort of.
Oh, I feel special. I feel special.
She's just happy. She just wants to see you.
No. Well, thank you. It was so lovely to talk to you.